can borrow mine if you need it. Yep, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I know. Black on black.
Where are you, Seth?
Little Regis. I got one though. I wear it. Maybe next week.
I don't know, Tom didn't say he wasn't, so I'm just gonna assume he is. It's probably dangerous to do that, but
Probably. Gail, no Gail?
Sean, when we get the meeting done, Ben wants to talk to you about the lineup for the minutes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We're gonna do something different at the top, so we distinguish between EDIC and the finance part of it.
That's fine.
And kind of a little graph, so we can check off who was here and who wasn't, so we can start keeping track of that. Because we have a lot of people that don't come, so we should know.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
just the president, but the guys.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll just change the heading just a little bit, so. Otherwise, the minutes are really good.
Yeah.
Good job.
There's a lot there.
I didn't print out one. What is that? Yeah, what is it
You need an extra copy?
in? Yeah, because, you know,
Got the
I'll
agenda
let
in there.
you
Do you
waste
have any
the
extras?
tree than not
There's-
myself.
Does anyone else? Yeah.
Oh, how pretty.
You wanna,
Yeah.
that's the minutes.
Seriously, I'm telling you.
I have an agenda.
You do have the agenda, okay.
You have an extra agenda.
I don't
Josh
have
was
it.
I heard they wanted that job. But, you got it.
It's not on the agenda, but do you want me to introduce myself?
Let's call the meeting to order for the Economic Development Commission for Tuesday, December the 18th. Anybody here for public speak? Okay. And number 3 is approval of minutes from 10/16. Other than what I just discussed with Sean, are there any other additions or subtractions anybody's aware of? Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to approve the minutes for?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion been made to approve the minutes and second. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Go ahead and introduce yourself, why don't you?
Name is Josh Rosenblatt. I moved to the area in summer of 2002. I work for a large corporation from my house that has nothing to do with Easthampton, and about a year and a half ago was invited to be on the Local Works Subcommittee of the EDIC. And I've been on it since pretty much its beginning. Recently, we decided that we wanted to have more than just one person from Local Works be part of EDIC, because it was tough for Susan to get all of our meetings. So I said, I will join up.
Excellent. Did you get sworn in?
Oh, no, I didn't go upstairs to do that?
Yes, you have to do that before you can vote.
Okay. So we take the time now or do it after?
Yeah, we're not going to vote on anything, I don't think so. I don't know what time she goes home, probably 5.
Yeah, I'll do it right after.
So do that with Barbara.
With Barbara
When you leave
Lamar,
here,
yeah.
yeah. She should, how long ago did you get appointed?
3 weeks ago? 4
She
weeks
must
ago?
have his,
Oh, I'm sure she was.
You were already sworn in for local works.
I'm sworn in for Local Works.
but not EDIC,
That's a different,
is it not? I don't know.
It wouldn't hurt to be sworn in again.
Well, you can check, and
I'll
if
check.
you are, fine.
Not like second time's around.
Do you have my email address in Ben's?
Is it part of the distribution that I got? Yeah, then I do.
Let both of us know, and Sean, well, email everybody and say yes or no, tonight or tomorrow or whatever, it doesn't matter, it's not a big hurry, but
Okay,
we should probably know.
okay.
Okay. Then let's go on to new business. This first one is too bad because I moved this thing twice for him and he decided he couldn't come today. So we're gonna have to postpone the Jason Bayshard Master Plan Information Committee. He said he wanted to speak. So, and I guess David Boyle was working with him, was he not? Said he was on the master plan? Is that true, is he not?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think there's just a new master plan group that's been organized, and I don't think Dave Boyle is part of that.
'Cause
I could be
saw
wrong.
him-
I don't, I think you're correct.
I saw him emailing back and forth with this gentleman, so that's
He
why.
he may have, just
Yeah.
as a
Just as a
story of,
conversation.
historical perspective, maybe, because Dave helped with
Okay.
the original. That's my assumption.
Okay. So let's, we'll move that to the next minutes, or the next agenda. You know, I'll email him when I get home, because I didn't answer the last one. He wants to go on the next one. We have to talk about a date for that anyway. Okay, let's move on to B, local works. Who wants to do that, Sue or
Was
Jason?
not present at the last meeting, so I think one of these guys has to.
If I can, I will.
Yes.
Although I wasn't at the last scheduled meeting, but it ended up not really being a meeting because there weren't enough people. But
It's just a working session.
okay, we reached what we thought was pretty much of a final draft from our standpoint. And then we submitted it to Jessica for her review because of her background and skills. And apparently, as I understand, she did give some feedback.
Yes, we got some feedback, we went over her suggestions, we got through a good portion of them, but not all of it. And then we're we'll continue to look at it.
You submitted what to them?
We submitted our draft of the survey that we want to put out.
Oh, the survey,
Yeah.
right.
So I should go back a little. Does anyone know why we're doing the
What-
survey?
yeah, we-
Okay.
Talked about it.
Yeah, we
I
did
wasn't
that,
quite
yeah.
sure what you meant, the logo or the survey.
And we have what we thought was a pretty good straw person of the survey, and so we wanted her opinion, so.
Yep.
We are gonna put it up on Survey Monkey and pay the little bit, I think it's $12 a month to get the premium version of it so that we can really use the robust tools that it offers, in addition to what they have just for free.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
When we do another round of the survey and set the finals, we'll send it around to the EDIC to kind of draft test it before we submit it to a larger audience,
Okay.
just to make sure that everyone it makes sense. There aren't, questions or problems that we're gonna run into in a larger audience.
Decide only to do this online?
Yes.
That's what we talked about.
At the last-
We're gonna do.
At the last meeting, we haven't, the method of dispersal hasn't fully been discussed. We are definitely doing it by SurveyMonkey. And we looked into door-to-door mailings. We looked at using the Summit and
Yeah, it is.
found that both of those were pretty expensive. We may do an advertisement in the Summit or an advertisement in the Gazette rather than including the whole survey, which would then point people to the website.
There's also, excuse me for interrupting, but there's also a link on the Local Works website, localworkseasthampton.org, that the link is existing. The survey's not up yet, though. When you go to it, you say the survey is in the works, so. And so the summit ended up being cost prohibitive, huh?
I don't remember what those.
Yeah,
constitute.
there was, you would need $11,800
Pieces.
pieces. And the price that we received was double-sided, just a single-page double-sided, $68 per thousand. And then you've got a multiple-page document, which, I'll be honest, I didn't ask her if a multiple-page document could be.
No, that's fine. Yeah, we just do an ad, pointing people to it. And also, through WFCR, we're thinking of getting public service announcements put up there too.
Okay.
Are you offering any kind of incentive for people to take the survey, or
So we talked about that.
It's been discussed, I don't think it's been finalized.
What's the target date to get it out there? Is there one?
We haven't, I mean, we don't have a target date right now.
As soon as we can, but at times it seems like herding cats, so I'm not terribly optimistic about setting one. If we can stick to
And what's the website address for this?
Local words?
No, the other one, the monkey.
Oh, SurveyMonkey? I think it's surveymonkey.com.
Yeah,
If you Google SurveyMonkey, it'll come up.
the
We
link-
did do some research on a number of other survey providers, and we found that this was the best suited for our needs. There were some that were no cost at all, but then they weren't going to be as user-friendly from the back end for other people. And we want to be able to have everyone in local work certainly be able to look at it and access the information. And we also thought, we haven't spent any of our money that's been allotted to us yet. And we felt we should before it goes out into the ether, so.
Do you have a limit on when you can spend it?
Is it by the calendar?
I mean, our budget is for the fiscal year, which ends in, I guess, the end of June.
Yeah.
And we are currently in the process of submitting new budgets for the following fiscal year. They're all due by the middle of March. So that will be affected by what our budget is when we spend. It's not automatically rolled over.
Do we have anything to do with the survey format as far as EDIC is concerned? Do we have to approve or disapprove or see it before it goes or anything?
Well, I don't think you have to, but we want your input. So we would like to, unless you know, I'm new to this group, so I don't know if you do that.
What do you think? So do we need to probably look at it since they're part of us?
I think it makes sense to.
Yeah, pass it by us first.
Definitely.
Right.
So I'd say you could probably expect to see it by the middle of January. Would we be that aggressive?
Yeah, I mean, I think one more round through and we'll get through the substantive comments of what we received to date, and then we may be able to send it out for the EDIC to take a look at, and then we'll have another round of
And you
comments
guys,
to go back through, and then we'll, maybe by.
You meet the second Wednesday, second Tuesday? Is that true?
Second and fourth Tuesdays. Straddle this.
Okay. If I can, I'll come to one of those two meetings.
Everyone.
It may not be the next one, but it might be the one in January before our meeting. Just,
Our next one is January.
Because we're off because of holidays.
oh, okay, so that's.
So we're not meeting again until January 8th. Yep. At 3 o'clock in this conference room.
Okay. All right, anything else on local works?
Does anyone have any questions or concerns? Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to C, regional site selection and location request.
All right.
Yeah, this was something that Ben and Jessica asked us about. The form was it not?
Yeah, so we are partners with the Regional Economic Development Council, and periodically we get basically leads from developers or different companies that are looking to locate in the region. Sometimes the requests are very specific to how many square footage they're looking, the loading requirements. And this is just a sampling of, there's a bunch of copies in each. So it's a sample of what we've received in the past 2 months for requests. just to see what we're kind of missing. Because we don't have the staff right now to fully investigate all of these requests. We're missing a lot of opportunities in the city. And I know this has come to the EDIC before with ways to, how do we know what's available in the city for developable land or rental space, lease spaces. And, other towns have developed sort of books or listings that show the property, so we can flip through it and say, oh yeah, this fits, and we can then, copy the page and send it back and say we're interested or not. There's just a sample. You don't have to take one.
We took a couple, that's a look at.
So I think it should be something that we bring to the EAC as developing a system where we can sort of start to respond to these requests, knowing what we have available and where we're sort of not following through. Is that
Yes, we can.
Who would correlate, does Jessica correlate these when they come through
right now
and answer them, or what?
right now they get sent directly to me.
Okay.
If they look like something that's we're interested in, or we respond to it, if, we know someone. But it's really tough. We're not brokerage. We don't know the current what's for sale and what's for rent.
So you're asking us to compile what's available?
Well, I think the EDIC, this may be something that the EDIC has an interest in helping. We have these opportunities that come periodically. Right now, we're just missing them. So it's something where I think the EDIC.
Who do you come to? You?
Right.
Well, my only question would be, if Jessica is the planner, she probably knows what's available, or she doesn't know?
We don't know.
You don't
But
know?
a study was done. Wasn't it done by a UMass group like a couple of years
That's
ago?
what's going to be my next
Of the
question.
mills and all of that?
What is this?
A study was done of mill space, and a group of, I thought it was from UMass, did it and compiled it. So I think there's something out there.
It was a project of theirs. It wasn't something we asked them to do, it's just something they did.
Okay.
Everything that was available in Easthampton. You remember that?
I don't remember that.
No, I haven't. How long ago do you think it was?
A couple of years, I think.
It's probably outdated by now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's outdated, and I think that's a good point, but I think it would provide us with some framework as far as, because I remember it was as far as square footage, it went through a number of things, so format-wise, or, all of that, so I think
It may
it's
still
worth.
be in there.
I mean, there
Got it passed down.
Yeah. There are many examples of other towns that have similar things. I know Agawam did when Jessica first started, she came in and presented a thing she did for Agawam that is similar.
Well, can we do this? Can we do research a little bit and see if we can find somebody that's already done this in some format and bring it back here?
Sure.
And we'll look at it and see if it fits our, and did you have a question you wanted?
I have a question, comment, not a question, I have more of a comment or a statement, if you will. This project that you're talking about is something that I've talked with Jessica about since she's been here as well. I just recently, within the past couple of weeks, actually went and visited I visited two realtors here in town. I visited Cannon and I visited the Taylor Agency, and suggested to them, or I talked to them about possibly putting together a listing, if you will, very similar to what you're looking for. And I asked them as far as how they felt about sharing information as far as what properties they have. And what I wanted to do, or what I'm thinking about doing, is putting together a small piece on the Chamber's website that will list properties that are industrial type places like that. We don't want to become an MLS listing, which is the listing for all of properties here, there, and everywhere. However, both of the realtors said to me that they'd be more than happy to share any pieces that they have. The other part of that, however, is both of them, neither one specifically specializes in leasing property, if you will. So there are several larger groups that own property that could be leased. So I've talked a little bit to the folks from A to Z, or I should say Honor Properties, I should say, about sharing the information as well. They seem to be, interested in doing that. One thing that I found when doing some research to try and put this little piece together was that the city of Northampton already has a pretty easy, if you will, way to find what's available as far as property is concerned. I haven't researched it enough, other than somebody gave me the link, I went to it and checked it out. But I need to know how they compile that. But if you go to the Northampton website, city website, I can't remember exactly where it's under, but if I find it, then I'll send it to you. But essentially was, what I was told was that Honor Properties in particular would, I think it was either monthly or quarterly, would send in, or they would get an email or a request or something like that from Northampton saying, what do you have available for properties that you're interested in either selling or leasing or whatever the case may be. And you would email that back, and they literally had it was a spreadsheet. It really wasn't anything fancy, but it was enough where you could at a glance look and see what was available in Northampton for space. I wanted to do something very similar to that on the Chamber's website. I've been saying I'm going to do it for a year and a half now. Time is is always a thing. So, but I think we're closer than we have been to putting something together like that. I don't know how comprehensive we would encompass Southampton and Westhampton as well, as that's the Chamber's role. However, it's not, again, we're not going to become the ML listing for properties, so we may not have everything, and we may be able to share just little pieces that'll at least give someplace to go. But that's really,
if you had somebody feeding you this stuff like we do over there, that would
right.
be-
Well, and then that's the other piece. You have to have somebody. You have to have landowners that are willing to share the information when they get it, or take it off when they don't.
Is the purpose of this to try and woo industry to the area?
We
Well,
get requests, you need to answer those requests, we're not doing that right now.
I mean, we're letting a lot of opportunities pass us by, and we have empty space available.
Oh, so this is, like, for this, for example, this is a request of someone who wanted the space to be able to
Correct.
be able to lease.
Right, and so a lot of these requests are for leased space, and we have the MLSs for places that are for sale.
Right.
So we have this sort of gap in our knowledge. We have a gap, we have vacant properties with the assessors. We have empty, that type of information, but we don't have this lease space, and we don't have the capabilities right now to find it out every time these requests come through. So it's really, so if the chamber wants to
Right.
start that.
Right, and again, we would just be a small piece. I don't want to
Or
say
if the
that,
chamber
I don't want
wants-
to say it's going to have every piece of available land, but it'll at least give you a start, is what our goal is.
So if the chamber wants to be a partner
Yeah.
with the
Yeah,
NBIC
absolutely.
and the city to
Yeah.
do that, then,
Yeah, that'd be fine. And,
Well,
yeah.
that makes more sense to me than EDI.
Well, no, I think the EDIC, that's part of the role of the EDIC is to bring in industry of some sort. So I could see the three of us partnering some way, shape, or form as far as gathering the information and then putting it somewhere. Even if obviously there's a benefit if it's on the chamber website because then we get more traffic. But if it's on the city website, it doesn't bother me either because, again, it's bringing business here to the city, which is neat.
Right.
So.
yeah.
I'd be happy to help in that.
Okay. And I'll do a little bit more research and see if I can find
Why don't we
that Agawam plan. I'll
we'll
send
put
it
that back
to
on the
everyone.
agenda for the next time, we'll talk about how we can help Sue also.
I'll try and find that link, Ben. I'll
Okay.
send it to you. It's really pretty, like I said, it's a simple sheet that just, Northampton seems to really have an easy way to look it up.
Yeah.
What does MLS stand for?
I have no idea.
Multi-listing service.
Multiple listing service.
I know what it is, I don't know what it is.
Okay. Thank you.
It works though.
Everyone knows what it is.
Okay. Any more on that part? Jason or Jen, did you want to say?
I think that's a good start, just to see if really just bring this to the EDIC to see if the EDIC was interested in working with us to make this happen. It sounds like the EDIC is, and the chamber is willing to do that, so
Okay.
we got our partners, so we can start to work on this.
Okay.
So I think that's great.
Okay, let's move to D then, Route 10 Bridge. Pat, you want to talk about the text notification process?
I would
And
actually.
whatever else updates you
I
might
have,
know?
yeah, I have a little bit more information. So the chamber on December 5th, we put out our first newsletter in relation to the Manhattan Bridge. I'm hoping that all of you are on our mailing. I only have one copy, so you can pass it around if you haven't seen it yet, but that is kind of an idea of what that newsletter is. The chamber has, over the past year and a half or so, we've been thinking about this coming here, the project itself, and we think that it's important that we should keep the community as well as our members and the business community as up to date as possible as we can as far as what's happening with the bridge, with the construction. The newsletter that went out, as I said, it went out on the 5th, and it was pretty well received. We sent it out, the initial send out of that newsletter, and if you've seen it or if you haven't and you see it getting passed around, I just put some information about what's happening with the process for the bridge. There's some articles that were from past media sources, as well as some links to Mass DOT site information about the bridge and the construction process that they want to use. The letter also included a couple of things that we're doing. It included an update, some pictures of the area that's going to be affected, and it also included some links on how you can sign up for this newsletter. The goal for the chamber is to send this newsletter out on a monthly basis, just giving updates as far as we hear them. We have been in contact, Eric and I have been in contact with the resident engineer, who is the responsible person for Mass DOT. He's been very responsive to us. Calls and texts whenever there's anything happening to kind of keep us in the loop. Right now, the only thing that's happening, well, I shouldn't say the only thing, but the things that have been happening is the utility work is being done. Eric and I sat in on a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and right now, the utility work has to be done before they can go any further. You can keep that. So you have Bay State Gas, Western Mass Electric, Verizon, and Charter doing their pieces. And as
This is at the bridge?
This is at the intersections, because
Okay.
if you're not aware, the intersections have to be done before the bridge can be closed. So there are 3 intersections that are having work done to them: O'Neill and Northampton Street, West Street and Northampton Street, Ferry and Pleasant Street are the 3.
Those lights are up.
Really today? So that's good. Ferry Street one is a temporary intersection that's going to be there with a light. The other 2 are permanent. Those have to be completed, however, before they can do any work with the bridge. They're now competing with a little bit of weather, which isn't too bad, but I know that they're moving along. The goal is still to close the bridge in the spring. They can't close the bridge until everything is done. I know that they were over there doing some work. There's some tree work and there's some bridge work looking. The bridge will not be removed or closed until, like I said, the other things have been done.
Along with the pedestrian bridge.
Along with the pedestrian bridge, they may be putting that in. You may see that go in actually over the winter. That was one of their plans, to have that put in.
They were going to run conductor cables too, back and forth before they closed it.
That's correct. That's correct. The pedestrian bridge is also going to be the host for the services that go across there.
Okay.
So
Does does have a little concern and a little thing. You said they're having difficulty with the weather, and it's not going to get much better.
Right, no, I agree, and they're,
Between
well,
now and March.
I just meant this week in particular, but because I know they were supposed to be at a couple places that they weren't, but they seem to be able to work that out. We'll see. Again, this newsletter is for anybody, the general public, anybody can sign up for this. Anybody who's got an email address can sign up for this newsletter and receive it. Again, we just hope to give as much updated information that we get from them. Some months it could be as simple as, nothing happening, or we talked and this is the progress they've made on where they are. You can sign up for it two different ways. You can sign up for it via that newsletter if you've already had it. We sent that to our entire mailing, our entire chamber mailing, which was all of our members and anybody else who's received a newsletter in the past. However, you do need to, we don't want it to become spam, so you do need to go in and opt in for it, if you will, for that piece. You can also do it from your phone. You can text, there's two separate things I want to talk about. First is you can sign up for the newsletter via email, via your phone and via the website. The other piece that the chamber has put together and we've implemented is a text message system. This is a system that the chamber is paying for, and anybody who wants to sign up for it can do it by just texting the word manhan to 96362. And what that
MANHAN?
Correct.
What's the rest of it?
To 96362. Please tell me that's right. Look at the bottom there. Yeah.
That's good.
Is that for the
And so
information?
there's two things that I'm having that you can sign up for. The last one that I'm talking about, the 96362, that is going to be a system that we will use for daily, weekly updates as far as what's happening with any kind of traffic or construction changes that may affect the day-to-day operation. We realize that people check their emails sometimes in the morning, sometimes twice a day, sometimes once a week. However, most people have their cell phones with them, and most are able to get a text message. We've used the system over the last couple of weeks. Actually, we've been testing it for a little while now, actually, for at least a month. We've used it for a couple of different things, and now we're just using it to give updates on the bridge. So if you were signed up for it earlier last week or later last week, late the week last week, we sent out a message because we got word from Mass DOT that they were going to be on the intersection of O'Neill and Northampton Street and it may cause some delays. We sent out that text letting everybody know that you could experience some delays today. And again, those are just going to be short little bursts that'll go out. Again, anybody who has a cell phone can sign up for it. Regular data messaging plans apply if you're, the disclaimer down there. But again, we want to use this. We want to use this to keep the public as well as the business community informed. The other piece that you'll notice on the newsletter that went out is we listed all of our members that are affected that are on the Northampton Street corridor. So we're giving them a little extra publicity because we want everybody to remember that they're there. The last piece that I'll mention that'll be in the next newsletter is when we had the forum several months back talking about the bridge and the closure of the bridge, one of the questions that we had for the Mass DOT was in relation to signage and what kind of signage that they're going to put out. Everyone has to have noticed, I'm sure, that there are signs all along all the streets that are going to be affected. There are a bunch of them on Northampton Street as well. They're all taped up in plastic right now because they're obviously there's no need to use them. However, they have them up and ready to go. One of the things we asked, and we sent an email to a letter to Mass DOT requesting that we have some signage that says something in relation to that the businesses are open and that Northampton Street businesses are open. Aside from as you drive up from Northampton, if you see detour and road closed or whatever it may be, some people may not venture down and go that way because they just assume that they can't. So we've asked them to put together, we've asked them if we could get some additional signage. They've approved that. They came back to us, told that they've approved that. We're just working on the wording. So that's actually some great news because we're going to put something along the lines of Northampton businesses are open, continue forward for, I'm not sure the wording, however, we're gonna be doing that, and that'll be featured in the next newsletter, I'm sure. So that's just one other piece that's going on. Again, they're out there, they'll be out there all winter, from what I heard. But again, the bridge is not closing. Don't expect the bridge to close until the spring at some point. March is what they say.
That's what they said early on, March or April, so
Yep.
that would be good.
So that's, unless you have anything else you think.
No, I think that's basically it. Like Pat said, we're working with the DOT to have that signage. Hopefully they will put as much as we would like to have. We don't know exactly, but they have, the good thing is they have agreed to do that signage.
We got, what, about four routes you're gonna sign?
Well,
You think?
I'm not sure. I think we'll put as many as we can. I was hoping to put some on the Northampton side as you come up to O'Neill Street. I was thinking on O'Neill Street as well, just to remind people that, you know, before you make the turn. I also thought maybe something back on Route 10 towards Southampton, maybe not that far down, maybe Fleury, you know, somewhere between downtown and Fleury Lumber, where you see the signs where it starts to tell you about the construction. I thought maybe something along those lines as well. I'm not 100% sure on that though. So, but we'll get some more out
How
there.
about over the mountain, when they get down to here?
I haven't thought about that, and I'm not sure where we could put anything, to be honest with you. Other than maybe over by the Rotary, not on the Rotary itself, but maybe on O'Neill Street. I'm sorry, Pleasant Street.
Or the top cottage.
Or the top of cottage, something. I'm sure we could do something. We'll see. So that's
Good.
that's I think it. Unless I forgot something. Then I'll tell you next time. I would just, the last piece of that, as far as the email that went out, I asked, and maybe what I'll do is, Mike, I'll send it to you, because I know you have the master list as far as everyone's email address. I'll send you the email saying this is the link to sign up. You know, sign up, you can use your email address to sign up for it.
Be sure, but
And if you can just, you know, send that out to everybody.
Yeah.
So far to date, I checked before I came here, we have 104 people signed up for that specific newsletter. And we have about 85 people who signed up for the mobile alerts.
Josh, give your email address
J.C. Rosenblatt.
to JC.
Yeah. ROSENBLATT
That who? Gmail?
Gmail. You'll get an email from me tonight anyway about my
Okay,
swearing.
good.
He's been in all the distributions to the EDAC.
Oh, all right.
I would just like to applaud the chamber for being so proactive in this.
I agree.
I mean, you're doing an incredible amount of work, and it's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, it's gonna make a big difference. I don't see this happening in other places that have roads closed and stuff. That, of course, for us, it's kind of critical that we
Yeah.
protect our businesses. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to E. I had a meeting this morning at the school, as I do every Tuesday morning. Third floor is finished.
Wow.
Second floor is almost finished. They're tiling on the first floor. Electric is fully installed everywhere. You can walk in a classroom up there and the lights come on by themselves. You walk out and they go off by themselves.
That's great.
It's really cool.
They close up the ceilings on that third
The
floor?
third floor is closed and the second floor is almost closed.
Ah, great.
Yeah.
Time for a new video.
Yeah, because all the furniture and fixtures is gonna start like the 1st of February, so it's been ordered. Full power to the building, water testing's being done. All the fences in are all the way around. Sidewalks are in. Landscaping is being done, what they can do for the weather.
What's projected occupancy date?
Well, the contractor, Fontaine Brothers, has to turn it over to us for occupancy the 15th of January. And the rule says it has to be done so we can actually move in if we wanted to and do what we do as a school. So, and they're scrambling a little bit to meet that deadline because there have been some problems with tiles coming from Italy on a boat that didn't leave on time and things like that. So there are a few glitches, but they have a big old fee they have to pay if it's not ready. So, and they understand that. Fontaine Brothers have been around a while, so they know what's going on. But other than that, the computer system is pretty much designed now and ready to be installed. All the wires are run. Western Mass Electric did their part, Charter did their part, Verizon did their part. So it's all wired and stuff, so it's a beautiful place, it really is. And it's going to be a sharp place. So terrazzo in the foyer is pretty much like 2/3 done. They did, this morning they finished up there's a big circle as you come in the front doors for the logo. The gym floor is fully laid, all the flooring is in. They've already marked off where the big eagle's going to go. So they're coming quick. It's great. It's going to be a beautiful place. Really. So we're quite pleased with what's going on. So. As are the teachers. They're going to love this. Lots of room, lockers are in, the whole thing. So
We'll have to go over, maybe next week, I don't know, maybe
Probably
next week or
after.
the week after Christmas.
Yeah.
If we can get over there,
Yeah.
maybe you and I can get in and do
yeah, they're going to close
Sorry.
a little bit
What does that mean?
it.
over the holiday, but
Okay.
my next meeting is January 2nd. So
Okay. All right. Do you know if they'll be there between the week of Christmas and the New Year?
I'm sure somebody will
Okay.
be. They have
We'll
to,
be
they
able
have
to
to
get
work
it.
right through.
I was gonna say.
They're up against it here, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we can talk.
Yeah.
We can go over if you want to. So.
Sure.
That's all I have for the school, unless somebody has other things they want to talk about. School? No? Okay. Now let's go to F, East Hampton's welcome signs, East and Holyoke Streets. Did we ever get any more information about?
Yeah. Found out in,
Good old Ben.
there's some copies of a decision that was from the zoning board of appeals that basically the city, along with the Chamber of Commerce, applied for these welcome signs in 4 locations throughout the city. All the others were in highway business zones. This one was the only one that was in residential zones. I had to get a variance to the sign ordinance at the time. But basically, it looks like it's on city property, but it was installed with an understanding between the chamber and the city about, you know, just funding it, and I assumed there was a maintenance agreement at the time, but I couldn't find that.
I've always assumed we owned them. Every time that there's been an issue with the
Yeah.
signs,
It's our,
we've been told that they're ours.
So they're on
So-
city, at least this one's on city property.
So I guess what's the question? What's the?
And there was a question at the beginning of the summer as to maintenance issues.
Which one's on city property?
The one that's on
Bottom of the mountain.
Holyoke and East.
Down the
Yeah,
mountain?
bottom of the mountain.
I guess, okay, that was one I was interested in, because it looked terrible during the summertime.
What do you mean as far as the mowing?
Mowing and.
I went there and brought my lawnmower myself.
Well, I was ready to,
Well, I
because
think what.
I didn't know if it was somebody's personal property, is why I
So-
didn't go do it.
So the
But it's actually
story,
city property.
yeah, the interesting story behind that is, I believe, what I was told is that the house that's right behind it, the guy that lived there would mow that piece, is what I understood. But then he was selling the house, so I don't think anybody was there. So over the summer, there was at one point where it got bad where I drove my lawnmower over
Well, that's
there.
when I first asked here, because I wasn't sure of who was responsible.
Yeah, and then
And we
it
didn't know.
suddenly started getting mowed again. So, because I was like, well, I'm gonna have to come and do this every couple of weeks, and then there was another mowing angel that came and took care of it. But I can tell you that the chamber, when somebody defaced, or I shouldn't say defaced, put some graffiti on the one that's now in front of the bank.
That's
It is defaced, okay, I was right. They defaced the sign, which was before the bank was there, over on the corner of O'Neill. We actually, some members of the chamber board got some paint, and went over there and fixed it, and made it look better. I'm actually quite happy that the bank has when they built their building over there, they actually did us a little bit of a favor because they actually added, I think, sprinkler system over there as well.
Yeah,
as
Tom said
lights.
this at our last meeting, they were gonna take care of it.
They did, and they did, so
that was-
I do, however, have noticed that, I mean, all four of those signs, three.
No, there's
The
one
remaining
that's
two.
down by.
There's one by Route 5,
Yep.
there's one at O'Neill Street, and there's one at the bottom of the mountain. And there's one at, in front of,
Right.
Stevens Urethane.
Where?
In
And
front of Stevens Urethane.
Stevens Urethane by the animal hospital.
So there's actually
Oh, yeah,
four.
over by Big Y.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all in pretty rough, I would say rough shape. They've all been painted a little bit, touched up paint here and there.
Well, I was concerned about the one coming from Southampton out Main, or Line Street, and there's nothing out there, is there?
Line Street.
Come out.
Down Street.
No, coming from Southampton.
On Main Street.
Oh, yeah, that's the one in front of Stevens Urethane. Yeah.
That's the one in front of you.
That goes to Park. It turns into Park.
No,
No.
there's one there.
Unless
No,
that's
there's
one of those.
not. I
No,
said
oh,
there's
you're
no-
saying you want one
Yeah,
there?
there's nothing that says you've entered Easthampton except
No.
for that post that sticks up there.
No, I don't know. But, well, I mean, it's on my list of things I wish I had $1 million and I could fix as far as those signs in general,
Well, if I
because.
get some, I will.
Okay, let me know. If you hit Powerball or I hit Powerball, I will make sure they all look really pretty.
Yeah, me too.
But they do need some touch-up work. I think at some point the chamber needs to investigate reaching out, because I think that was a collaboration actually of the chamber, the Kiwanis, the Rotary, and several other groups, because if you look at the bottom of it, it actually has the insignias of those,
All of them, yeah.
of all of those groups. So I think we're getting close to a point where we need to, they're not horrible, don't get me wrong, they all look good, and they all,
It was
I
just
wish they
the
were all
maintenance
lit.
Part on the ground that I didn't
I mean,
like.
the one thing that I've thought about doing over the past couple of years is at the very least putting some kind of lighting, even little solar, solar ones that probably will get scoffed at, or if we can attach them, we can attach them. I just thought of something because I think they're great entries to the city, and if they were lit up, they would be seen a lot more.
And didn't we already get a price?
Did
Didn't
you?
Tom mention there was a price that was given and it was more than putting them in originally?
I know.
I don't
To
doubt that.
touch them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot to refurbish them, yeah.
I don't doubt that for a
Yeah.
second, because
Yeah, they're not cheap.
they're not, and I don't think they were cheap. Eric, you can.
Oh, boy, I can't, it was well before my time with the chamber,
But I know they were not cheap when they were done.
No,
And the interesting, I mean, I talked to one of the sign makers in town, and he said the bodies of the signs are in pretty good condition. The gold leaf, which we must have at the time paid extra to have, is actually held up better than the rest. He said that gold leaf will stay there, the rest of the sign fall down, because they used some good paint. But they're all fading. They're all fading, and they've all seen better days, and it would be wonderful if we could come up with a plan to refurbish all of them or put new ones in.
Did Derek Mason from Sign Graphics, was he the one that made them?
I don't think, it was a gentleman, I think, that worked for him. Oh, boy. I'd have to look back in the files. There was a gentleman, that worked for him, and if anyone has enough knowledge, it would be Derek. Would have the most knowledge on it.
Well, when you talk some more with whoever, we'll bring it back up here again and talk about it some more at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's on my mental list of things that I would like to fix, which is pretty long.
Start on this, start on those.
Yeah. Time.
Did anybody talk about the, coming down that mountain? I know they trimmed up everything.
I
It
asked.
doesn't look too good.
They just did the maintenance on it a couple weeks ago.
They did.
Well, yeah, I know,
But it
but
wasn't,
they,
they have done a better job in the past.
exactly, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks a whole lot better than it did before I asked the question.
Yes,
So,
but
but yeah,
That's
it's,
what I was driving off it the other day, and I said,
did they actually do anything? Yeah.
well, they didn't do as good a job as they did last year.
They didn't trim anything along the guardrail.
No, they did
just
not.
went,
Still
they
sticking
took
out.
the big arm and went up the mountain, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think they kind of got ahead of them, they forgot it.
Yeah.
appeased us with what they did. So.
Well, that tree that was scraping your car every time I went down was gone. So
Yeah.
that's good.
They took that.
And the other one that
Yeah.
fell the couple
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
And blocked traffic and everything else for a day, I think it was.
There was another tree that came down on Hendrick Street last week.
Okay.
Just thought I'd put that on there.
All right, the last thing on the agenda is videotaping the meetings. It's on there because I wanted to talk about it. Some of you have already gotten David Boyle's response.
Shocked and stunned.
I know.
Shocked and stunned.
Well, yeah, and so am I, but I can understand what he's getting at. And my only complaint about the whole thing, and it's not a state law, by the way. It has to be, it has to be a city law, it has to be approved by city council. And I think there's some plans to do that, to bring it before the council. I don't know who's gonna do that, but my opinion is, I mean, here it is, 10 minutes of 4, and not only this committee, but the school building committee and other things that I've done in the past. If I'm willing to come over here and not, I don't wanna say spend my time, I come because I want to, and be here with the rest of you and do a public service, why do I have to be recorded so somebody can sit home and pick me apart? I don't, if they want to know what goes on here, they should come over here and be part of the process. I don't think they have to be a member. It's a volunteer thing, or I wouldn't be here. But I would think that they'd have enough gumption to come and do what I do and sit here and spend the time and make the effort to participate. So I, for one, I'm not gonna say I wouldn't want to vote in favor of having these meetings.
I agree.
I think everybody here is a volunteer, and, you know, if you're a volunteer, that's different.
You seem to
This
be
is what David was
videotaped
getting to.
right now, so I don't know what that's all about.
Well, apparently the rule is that if you're a private citizen, you can come and videotape these, and that's a Massachusetts state law. Because I researched it, and I asked some
You
questions.
videotape it and air it on
It's an open meeting.
Yeah,
wherever you want.
yeah. And I don't approve of that either, but that's the law, and we'll follow the law. But I don't presuppose that somebody's gonna text me tonight when this is aired, or whenever it's aired, and say, you shouldn't have had that opinion or this opinion. They have no right to do that unless they're sitting here at this